Now I know I stress a lot on plant identification, uses, edibility, medicinal, and there's a reason for that. Because they have so many uses. You know, fire, shelter, edibility, medicinal, things you need in a bad situation. And it's half your battle, and it's one of the hardest things to learn. Shelter is one thing. It's not the hardest to do. There's some techniques and things you can do to improve moisture barrier and whatnot. But trees and plants, they're just so useful. So trees alone have tons of uses. So I want to talk a little bit about winter identification, because if you can identify them in the summer, that's one thing. But if you can identify them in the winter, you're going to become quite well at knowing tree species and what they look like, just by looking at the bark, by looking at the pattern. Okay, so I just want to do a quick blurb on how I study these things. In the wintertime, I see green. Okay, it's the first thing I'm looking for. What is still green? What is an evergreen? On the ground, what is an evergreen? In my wild tea video, I showed you 4 of them. Okay? Now trees also have evergreens. And I don't mean just pine tree. Okay? There's a lot of them. Mountain laurel, the pine, the hemlock. Cypress is an exception because it does lose its needles. Holly. There's another one. You can make a tea out of them leaves if prepared correctly. Okay, so you need to rule out all these evergreens first. That's going to help you. Now, the next thing you want to look at is bark. You need to be taking pictures of these barks in the winter. You need to find out which one have shallow furrows, which are these little things. Okay, this one's obviously shallow. It's got little smooth blotches with rough blotches. Okay, we look up the tree. What does it look like when it grows up? Okay, is it growing straight up? Is it, got branches branching out at the base like this? This here, we look at it, it's got branches coming out at the base. We look up, it grows in little whorls. Obviously it's a pine tree, but that's how you identify these. You look at the bark. Okay, once you identify it and you know what it is for certain, then you look at bark. Okay, now I can identify this tree in the wintertime. Now obviously pine trees an evergreen, but other trees will work well with this way of studying. Okay, now these trees have all kinds of uses, like these branches here in the wintertime. These are what you would use for fire. Okay, you want these dry ones that snap like that. They're dead, they're dry, you're gonna make a fire. There's snow on the ground, you don't want that stuff. Okay, another thing you're going to do, find a tree that you don't know what it is. Okay, there's a pine. Here's something. What's this tree? Okay, we walk over to it, we look at it, and we see it still has, now it's late in winter, and it still has leaves. Okay, a lot of trees still have dead leaves hanging from them. The beech tree, okay, that one's got leaves. The leaves are going to be light, very light colored. I'll show you one in a minute here. Okay, they're very light colored and they're everywhere. You drive down the road and you can spot a beech tree. You know that's a beech tree because of the leaves. Okay, this one's darker. Okay, I know it's hard to see. But looking at these leaves, I can already tell it's an oak. Okay, now I know it's an oak. What kind of oak? What do these leaves look like? Come down to the ground. I grab this leaf here. Okay, it has blunt tips. Okay, so now my studying and my knowledge has shown me that oaks with blunt tips like that, excuse me, not blunt tips, pointed tips. Okay, you see that pointed tip? How it comes to a point? That tells me this is a red oak. Okay, southern red oak. Now I look under the tree and I find these leaves. So that goes to my next point. Now before we go to that next point, I want to say, now that you know this is a southern red oak, look at the bark. Okay? Take a picture of it. Write it down. Put it in your notes. Store it on your computer or wherever you got. Make a drawing. If you're an artist, make a drawing. Okay, some people have that capability. I am not an artist whatsoever. Okay, so look at the barks once you identify the tree. Okay, you know, you come over here and you look at this tree. Obviously it's a pine, but it's a different kind of pine. This one has flaky bark. Okay, see the flaky bark? Okay, so now back to the point I was gonna get at. Let's find a tree without leaves. Okay, like this one here. Okay, so we don't know what this tree is. We know it's got different bark than that other tree we just looked at. This is more rigid, deeper furrows. It's got big sections that run, kind of rectangular, long. We're looking for patterns, okay? That's how you identify by bark. You look for patterns, okay? They're all distinct in their own way. Some are harder than others. Some are easy, okay? So this one doesn't have leaves up in the tree. Actually, I see one right there, but I can't see it well enough to distinguish what it is. So what we do, come down here in the snow. Okay, we got a leaf here that's kind of eroded. Let's look for something a little bit better. Okay, well, here we go. Here's a little bit better leaf. Okay, so we've got a branch here that fell off this tree. Okay, now looking at this, we know this is another type of red oak, but this one lost all its leaves. Now I can look at this leaf and see that it's kind of lighter color than the ones off that tree, and I can see the one up there is a little lighter colored, so my conclusion is this came from this tree. So now I need to find out what kind of red oak this is, because all these trees have different medicinal properties. They have certain ones have edibility properties, bow drill capabilities, primitive fire. The roots on some of them can be used. Now obviously oak is not one of those, but like the root of the cottonwood can be used. Okay, so this is just to help you get started on identifying in the winter. Okay, this is how I do it, and it works for me. You know, I look for the evergreens first. Okay, see all the greenery on the ground there. Okay, then you take a picture. You take it home. Grab the leaf. This is gonna have a funny smell to it. I've already discovered these smell funny. Okay, you have the funny smell. Okay, now I need to look for something that has a funny smell, that has green leaves, that grows on the ground. This would be called ground cover. Okay, so get out there, look under the base of trees. Now if you look for the leaves under the tree like I just did, you need to make sure you're looking where these leaves are falling, because it could be from this tree, it could be from this tree, or this tree. You need to find which one it's coming from. Okay, so we look up, we see this is a pine tree, but it has oak leaves underneath it. Okay, so obviously this is not an oak. Where's it coming from? You find out where it's coming from. Okay, so you gotta factor in all these little tidbits of information, and eventually you will find out what these trees are. Summer rolls around, you identify that tree, and you look at the bark, and in the winter you already know the bark, and you get to skip all these steps. Okay, so get out there, study some of these trees, see if you can figure them out, learn their medicinal and edible properties, learn their uses, fire-wise, shelter-wise. Okay.